I feel like no matter how much I am sharing lately, it's just, there's just more, more, more. But at least this time, it feels like the downloads I was getting in the middle of this last year were just like, oh, so much work to do, so much work to do. Let me pause this for one. All right. So today just I've got lots of stuff planned for you guys. And then in the fellowship today, we are breaking down the 15 points. Some of you already have it, of the reprogramming the subconscious mind, but I'm going to actually do like kind of a demonstration for each one. So those of you who are in the boot camp, it's really going to be um informative for you guys. Okay, so this is the non-duality masterclass. Okay, so how are you guys feeling so far, October, about non-duality? Okay, so like living in the idea of a non-dualistic world. Okay, where when you can get to that place where you are more in a non-dualistic, which means there is no right and wrong, there is just choice. Okay, there is no black or white, there is just contrast. That is, to me, what true non-duality means. And when you can wrap your head around that, creating reality starts to get so easy. Because the reason why it's so difficult for you, or for anybody, why everybody's not doing this like God, is because we are constantly in judgment of what we believe is right and wrong. And we are constantly looking at contrast like a personal attack against us. It's just contrast, right? It just is. Like all the ick out there in the world, it just exists, right? It just is. And so is all the amazing good in the world. And if all you actually had to do was choose what you preferred and then give no energy whatsoever to anything other than that which you prefer, while living in a non-judgmental fashion towards it, like that might just be a color that doesn't look good on you, or at least that's what you think, but you're not judging it. Like you don't hate the color orange because you can't rock it. It just is. Okay, but it might not be your flavor, it might not be your choice, because ultimately when we look at the game of Christ consciousness, the Christ conscious creator is constantly creating from a non-dualistic perspective. Make sure I'm recording. Yes. Non-duality, which means it's just not my jam. It's just not my vibe. Right. It's just, I like what you're saying, but I don't like what you're wearing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not black or white so much. It's just, what do I prefer? What do I prefer? What do I prefer? What do I prefer? But you've lived in a reality where your preference, your choice was not your choice. And so your entire subconscious mind, the holder of the program itself, the baggage, okay, the bounty, the womb of creation, the subconscious, the divine feminine creation, which is the holder of all the seeds, okay, is literally telling you in every thought that you're not thinking who and what you are. Okay, so I'm going to make a point here, and I'm going to probably need to say this for the rest of the year because we're going to go all the way to January with this class, is the thoughts that your body thinks. Okay, one of the best pieces of advice I can give you that I've learned this year: stop listening to it. Okay, or at least let it be there and decide whether it's true for you anymore. Because the thoughts your body thinks are not awareness thoughts. They're just thoughts that you have thought, or that other people have thought, or that have been recorded somehow in your cellular memory or your muscle memory. They are nothing to do with you unless you choose them. What is the real you is the thoughts you choose to think, until the chooser reprograms the subconscious mind, and then your body will think all the thoughts you choose to think. All right, so your body is thinking thoughts about you that it has its entire life. And see, you as awareness that is stepping in the body, like, let me get in here, let me start taking over awareness, right? The I am within you, the one who's even saying I am in choice, not I am the, but I am. That's you. That's your Christ consciousness. That's choice consciousness. Okay. Remember, Jesus Christ means choose salvation. It has nothing to do with Christianity whatsoever. If you look up lineage and origins, and Regina and I just did a video the other night on etymology that I highly recommend if you guys haven't watched it to peek at it. It's, you know me, I can't do a short video. It's at least an hour. But we break down language, and the language that we use every day, we think nothing of it because on a conscious level, we're not necessarily looking at the language you're speaking as any sort of contrast, but the English language itself was written by the occult, which is the Walking Dead. Okay. The soulless, basically, the spiritless creators of this particular template created the English language. That's why if you look at all of the things that we say every day, if you broke it down, probably 80% of your English language would have some dead reference. Look, good morning. Okay. Earn, right? You earn a living. Week, days, maze, tricks. Okay. So you have been duped because the subconscious mind records in images, not in literal context, which means that if you say morning, all right, then your subconscious mind is actually way smarter than you. So it looks at the origin definition of that word, not what you think it is. That's how smart your subconscious mind is. It is, and always has been since the beginning of time. So it is looking at origin meaning, not your slang. Okay. So we say, good morning, wake up. What's awake? Think about that. Just let that sit on you for a sec. Okay. Oh, all right. So that's what I'm talking about. So we're going to be doing an entire etymology, like repurposing of the English language for you guys to stop using certain language that is kind of entrapping. You know, cleaning out your subconscious mind while you're living in the Matrix, watching Matrix TV, hanging out with sheep is like brushing your teeth and eating Oreos, guys. You're going to have to start kind of paying attention to what is coming in because you're working so hard with reprogramming. You know, you're going to have to create that bubble, that cocoon around you at some point. That doesn't mean stop being social or stop being who you are. But what is constantly data that is coming in is also the Matrix language. Like if you talk to other people around the planet, they look at our language like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, Michelle Price knows that. She speaks like 4 languages. Like the English language makes absolutely no sense because it's designed to entrap you. It's filled with double negatives. Okay. And anything you put I am to is a command with you as the presence of either God of creation or God of destruction at the hosting point. The body is the host. Okay. So, and the awareness that comes through is either aware or unaware, but it's still awareness because it's non-dualistic. And so when you're unaware, like even when we talk about in this video, when you say understand, that means to stand under. Remember when you were a little kid and your parents would be like, do you understand? So this indoctrination is so deep in your body that the way you talk to yourself is eating Oreos while you're brushing your teeth. It's like you're making more work for yourself. And this is why some of your manifestations are not sliding into home yet. Because just because of your inner talk, that isn't you anymore. It's your old programming. It's mom's voice, it's dad's voice, it's government's voice, it's your teacher's voices, it's your church's voices, it's your kids' voices. Any thought that comes up out of you that doesn't resonate, that of joy, freedom, and abundance, honey, it ain't you. It's not you. It never was, but you needed a voice to house the hosting until the awareness came in. Okay. And once the awareness came in, our responsibility, the ability to respond, was to listen to what the mind was saying and decide with free will choice, do I like what my body has to say about me right now? Do I still choose this? Because a lot of us are taking it as the truth, right? And the voice of the past is built out of the matrix and is narcissistic by nature. So it's all about gaslight. It's all about twisting. You start to feel too much joy, you're getting outside of the subconscious program that you've been basically indoctrinated into. And it starts to feel like your character is being attacked. It feels like what you're experiencing, you should feel guilty and shameful for. I mean, everything in the matrix is designed for you to see joy as something you should feel guilty for, or it's not going to last, or don't get your hopes up, or the rug is going to fall out, or the other shoe is going to drop. You see, so when you are working really hard on your affirmations, remember this process of moving into Christed consciousness, which is deliberate creation, manifestation, is to weed and seed constantly, right? The seeds that are in there are still growing. So you can see what you're manifesting by what is continuing to happen in your physical reality. But let's go back to our non-dual training here. Take none of it personally. It's just a seed. And you, with your awareness, with every thought and mood you put that into, you can plant a new seed right in and over where that other one was. And just like recording over a CD, the subconscious mind does not care what you think. It doesn't. It's not, nope, you have to be this person. Never was it stuck in what you were. The reason why it's stuck is because we kept thinking it. We kept using it as our model, even though our conscious mind never saw our subconscious programming as who we were, because it's always been trying to get you this better life by wearing the mask. Okay. And so the class that I wanted to give you today is called The Middleman. All right. And what I realized is that my entire life, everything was like almost perfect, except, you know what I mean? Like, notice back in your life, it was always something in the middle. Something in the middle. Someone's ego, right? Someone's issue. Like you go on a trip and someone's got to be the drama. Someone's money problem, your money problem. Like you have this big, exciting, like vision, but no money. Money's in the middle. Money is a middleman. Ego is a middleman. And those are really the only two things right now in your physical reality that is stopping you from manifesting like God, is the ego and the idea of money. Because in the ego is where all your obligation and your suffering is. Okay. And guess what? Inside the ego is where your freedom is. So if you had no ego and money was no longer acting as the middleman to your abundance or prosperity, what would you do? Who would you be? Who would your family be more like? Like if you removed all the money problems from your family right now and ego, who would you be living with? It would be super fun. Those are the only two real issues, right? But the third ego perspective that comes in is when you're not paying attention to the middleman that is you've created, then you'll create a middleman in your marriage. You'll create a middleman in your job. You'll create a middleman in your own family, which means you'll create a physical character to play out why you can't be, have, or do what you want. Neville Goddard calls it third party. Okay. When there's a third party, that's when things start to go wrong, right? You're in a monogamous, co-creative, masculine, feminine energy. Third party is not going to work out. What happens to a marriage when a baby's born? What happens to the husband? Take a hike. Okay. So when you look at this idea of third party, it's usually where all of the ego starts to hide, because the third party is your belief that something is in your way. That's it. You developed really early a concept that either mom was in the way, dad was in the way, money was in the way, church was in the way, school was in the way, your siblings were in the way. Okay. Or last but not least, those of you who have very sick bodies, drum roll, you were in the way. Anyone who has a very, very sick body believes that they are the reason. It's a process of self-punishment. Like, I'm the reason why. You know, I was too cute, I was too sexy, I was too loud, I was too crybaby. So those of you guys who are self-punishing in your subconscious through chronic pain, think that you are the problem. You're the middleman. If you weren't there, everybody else would be happier. That's what you believe. Now, I'm not saying you believe that on a conscious level. I'm saying that your subconscious has a belief system recorded about you. We don't want to take any of this personally. We want to own any of this, because in a non-dualistic nature, you don't own anything. And I will tell you, the only thing that you technically have possession of that you could ever control in this reality are your own thoughts and your own choices. All right. Now, you're responsible for the body, but it has its own consciousness. And when your consciousness begins to lead properly and your body feels safe to submit to you, then you will be in that co-creative relationship as the dominant energy of your body. And that's when your manifestations start to get beautiful. Okay. Like amazing. So this middleman that we've created in our reality is nothing more than a belief system that there's something in the way. So I just want you to take stock for a minute and look over your reality and think to yourself, right now, what do I believe is in the way of money? What do I believe is in the way of it? Who's in the way? What's in the way? How's in the way? Why in the way? Go through your subconscious hypnosis checklist. Who, what, why, where, how. Okay. That's your subconscious checklist. If you just ask yourself questions, you will get an answer, but you've got to be present enough to receive it once it comes through. And I highly recommend that you all do this, because as long as there's belief systems that something is in the way, then you're going to need something to manifest for you. As long as you believe there's something in the way, then something will always be in the way. Always. So I want to make a public announcement that all of you stop doing shadow work immediately. Stop. Stop doing your spiritual journey. It's a middleman. Shadow work is a middleman. You're like, oh, yes, I've got to heal myself. That's a middleman that says you need to heal. All you actually have to do is choose. You just have to choose. And I will tell you that I truly believe that this spiritual journey effed me up. And the reason why is because what I learned about myself on this spiritual journey made me feel more guilt and shame sometimes. It made me feel more separate. It gave me a big ego of spiritual knowledge without being able to do much with it besides help you guys. Okay, so when you look at 3D manifestation, which is trial and error and manipulation, okay, that's what 3D, if you're going to manifest anything in 3D, you're going to work with your inner manipulator. You're going to try to figure out how to get what you need to get. You're going to manipulate and you're going to be cunning, and whatever charm you've got, you're going to need to use it in the third dimension to manifest, which means that because it's not coming from a place of I just am what I desire, you're always manifesting in lack in 3D, and therefore you will lack something by the end of that manifestation, which means it won't produce fruit. It'll actually end up being barren, or it'll be something you don't want. Okay, so that's just 3D manifestation. And we've all been doing that our whole lives. It's like everything you're living in right now is it's bittersweet, because you've taken the red pill and the blue pill. Someone asked me that the other day. It's like, what happens if you take both? Then you're constantly 10 steps forward, 10 steps back, constantly, because you're still creating, but you also are working with the spirit of destruction at the same time. Because let's say your subconscious mind is holding the belief system that it is the reason and the destruction, and it is the unworthiness, and it's the starving one, it's hungry, and it's lack, and it's all these things. So that's going to be embodiment of the spirit of destruction. And then your conscious awareness, the one that you are working personal development, you're doing your prayer work, you're doing all this work, you're leading with the God of creation within you. And so that just makes you split further apart. And it feels like the world is stopping you right at the threshold or right at the finish line, or, you know, right when you're getting close, or something ghosts you. What you don't realize is that the non-duality nature of creation is when the subconscious and conscious mind are literally in a unity. They're in a beautiful marriage. And I've been teaching you guys this for like 3 years now. But until you begin to live it, this is why we did the alchemy masterclass. This is why we did master of love. This is why we did warrior training. This is why we're doing non-duality now. Because the thing is even though your subconscious program is lacking, it's in lack, it's telling the story of, but you're not enough. You don't have enough. You can't be enough. You're too old. You're too ugly. You're too sick. You're too broke. All these things, right? And it's going to feed you the thoughts. This is how you know what's in your subconscious mind is, what are you having mental warfare about? What is your body thinking that you're not thinking? Which means the awareness is the thinker that chooses the thought in this circumstance, not the thought that comes out of circumstance. Now, you're going to believe that you are your thoughts, because the reactive thoughts in your subconscious mind work directly with the nervous system to let you know in a primitive way when there is danger. Okay. But to a human that has, you know, we don't have to fight wars every day, and we don't have to search and hunt for food anymore. Our definition of danger has changed tremendously over the last 100 years. Okay. Our sense of danger is more about humiliation. It's about being right. It's about being heard and seen. It's about feeling appreciated. It's about being late. I mean, this is what gives humans anxiety now. No longer are we being like chased by the lion, right? But, oh my gosh, I could be humiliated. I could be judged. And that is going to react with your nervous system just as if there was a lion chasing you. See, your body doesn't know the difference. All it knows is that there is something vibrating at a core level that you're sensing some sort of assumption or possible danger. So let's break down the definition of fear again. Fear is faith in lack. That's what it is. You have faith in your own lack when you're afraid. You have faith in your own loss. You have faith in your own scarcity. And look at that word, scarcity. Okay. See, third dimensional reality is scarcity. It's scarcity. It's designed to scare you into submission. Now, when you really start to manifest from 5D, what you're going to realize is that there is only one step of manifestation. There's only one, which means even my 7 stages that I wrote and thought pretty proud of it, and you got it tattooed on my body. It's actually just awareness steps that you take while you're remembering who you are to get to the one step. Okay. And the one step is see something you want and then pretend you have it. Literally. I already have that. And then going on about your business, which is surrender. Like, easier said than done. Okay? Because guess what? Your entire reality is based on how. How am I going to do that? When are we going to do that? How is that going to work? That's what's built such a strong manipulator within you. And in third dimensional reality, you are responsible for the how. You are responsible for earning the money, waking up early in the morning, and spending all your weekdays earning for a job, which I looked up the definition and it means prosecution. That's what job means, you guys. The root word of job is prosecution. Okay. See, when you're born here in the matrix and you fall asleep to the fact that you are God, your entire reality, the template that you play off of is scarcity. And the scarcity tells you that you are responsible for creating a reality and earning a living and creating your value and creating your worth, because you are worthless. Like, everybody is guilty by association. Like, you're all worthless unless you do something, unless you be something, unless you give something, unless you say something, unless you look something. And that this is the subconscious collective. This is the subconscious collective belief system that's in the scarcity mindsets. Okay. Mindsets is like a group of belief systems. Okay. That's what a mindset is. So when you have a scarcity mindset, then you are literally playing out the source of the scarce source. Now look at source energy, scarce source. Who's been the master of your domain? And this is why even when we wake up in our spirituality, we're still manifesting through scarcity. Because now, on top of trying to figure out how to manifest money, we got to figure out how to manifest our crazy ass, because we're different and we're weird and we're empathic and we're sensitive and nobody understands us. And we felt different our whole lives. And so now I got to figure out how to manifest money. I got to figure out how to heal my body, and I got to figure out how to get back to spirit consciousness. And it's just like, all that happens is scarcity is the best chess game in the world, because as you gain awareness, it moves you into now the study of awareness instead of I am aware. And therefore, I could choose. I could choose that I don't want to live in scarcity anymore. I want to live in abundance city. I want to live in abundance, town of abundance. Okay. That would all you would have to do. And then just not play the scarcity game. All right. And that means that you would have to purposely dive into your subconscious and look at all your scarcity thoughts. And scarcity at its root means that you are kind of missing the mark as far as basic needs. So it's right under what you actually really need. That's what scarcity is. So it's like you have a little, but you just never seem to get enough to get your head all the way above water. Because here's the thing, if the third dimensional reality doesn't put you in scarcity, you will put yourself in scarcity with like overspending or like absent-minded or, you know, some sort of like theft in your account. Like if you're in that mindset of scarcity with your own abundance, you will attract all kinds of problems with money, which makes you not want to manifest a lot of money, because if someone's going to hack into your account at $700, what are they going to do with 7 billion? I mean, you really got to take stock here why you are not stinking rich right now, because there's all this scarcity, more money, more problems. There's all these belief systems and these thoughts that are coming up. Like, we want to pay attention to the thoughts that are coming up, not to judge ourselves from them or judge others with them, but to look at what our subconscious actually believes about us and the world. Like, what's this critical thought that's coming up? Wow, this is in my subconscious mind talking smack about me and you. And I like you. Okay. And so the awareness there that is totally non-dualistic in nature, very childlike, unconditionally loving, unconditionally serving, which means if you want to serve the scarcity, you know, mayor, which is all of the laws that are governing your money, okay? And all of the things that you feel are outside of your control actually all belong to you. And as you start to go through more classes that I'm hoping Christine and I are going to make as well, because she's like Rain Man when it comes to finances, and Regina as well. Like, these two are like amazing when it comes to understanding this game with the finances and how the language and your birth name are all entrapping your inheritance. So basically, you own everything as a child of God. You do. And you always have. But what happens is when you're born into scarcity, you're going to give away something of yours to get something that you believe you need. You're like, well, I don't need my social security number. Here you go. I don't need this. I don't need my time. I need my rent paid. Okay. And so this mindset that builds your subconscious mind is now what you're up against when you're like, I'm moving to abundance, which is the kingdom of heaven within you, which is your true birthright of abundance, which is you as prosperity of the I am. It's all yours. It's yours. Like, you inverse your story, your reality. This is why I'm like working on so many different, what is happening here? Oh, so many different classes right now to kind of like poke over here and poke over there and poke over here, because the idea that all you have to do is stop playing this game, which is narcissistic by nature. And if you have studied narcissism, you know that the only way to stop interacting with a narcissist is to stop interacting with a narcissist, because any attention, and this is where spiritual people get trapped. We give a lot of attention to our pain in spirituality. We give a lot of attention. We get a lot of study hours. We dive into it. We unpack it. And what that does, if you've ever like tried to be sorrowful or like release guilt with a narcissist, like what happens? Like you are just food. So good attention and bad attention is what fuels the maze tricks. Either one, good or bad, it doesn't matter. You could be joyful but following the rules, or you could be, waving a flag and burning your bra. You are still an energy source that you are still under control. You're still feeding it. What I'm saying is that it's time for you to literally stop seeing things you don't want to see and start seeing things that you want to see, and realizing that your source energy trumps all the scarcity that could ever be. What's more powerful, something alive or something dead? Think about that. Like one zombie doesn't even really know where you are, but millions of zombies, now that's scary. Okay, but you are alive, which means you are a vital being and you can think your own thoughts. Okay, so the undead, you become the how, by the way. So you believe that you got to figure out how to get what you want, which is your biggest manifestation mistake. And when you go into the how, you have automatically gone into doubt, which now you're in the demonic zone of the 5 Ds. Remember, discouraged, divergence, doubt, delay, defeat. As soon as you go into doubt, you are now in the jurisdiction of creating through scarcity, no matter what, because you just chose your own adventure. As soon as a shred of doubt comes in, doubt brings you to the 3rd dimensional template. Now you have to create there. Now you got to figure out how this is going to work out. How are you going to get there? How is he going to say that? How? Why? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now you're in scarcity. Now you are completely separate from source energy, and now you're using scarce source energy, which is just, basically adrenalized fear. You're using that. That's why you always feel so tired and you feel battery operated and you're exhausted every day, because you're not streaming from the Wi-Fi of source, because you're not in the city of abundance. You're not in Abundance City. Okay, I like it. Probably get that tattoo just so I can remember what city I want to choose. Okay, so this idea is that we are making this all way harder than it needs to be. If we just went back to, look, this is actually non-dualistic here. I don't need to take that personally. I don't need to take that trigger personally. What that lady said to me the other day about my hair, I don't need to take that personally if I don't want to. My body wants to. My body is having a visceral reaction right now, but I don't have to. The awareness within me could take a breath. I could calm my own body down using my own rhythmic breath. I could ground my body. I could be here for my body until it moved into the other side of my nervous system. And then I could decide. I could pick a side. And at any given moment, all day long, that would be all I would have to do to get my body out of scarcity and into source energy. That's it. That's all I have to do for a while. But what helps you go faster here is if you are taking stock of truly what you believe reality is and how it is and what your role is in creating it. Because if you don't realize that you are God and you are the God of your body and you are the God of your reality, okay? Which means whatever template you are living, you are the God of. But sometimes it's destructive. So, and I've been asking this in almost every class, look at the status of your relationship. Is it destructive or creative? Are you guys getting better together, or are you just existing and there's so much destruction under the covers that it's just resentful and bitter, and it's just year after year, you're not getting happier, you're just getting older and you're fighting less. And I'm not talking about you, Michelle. I'm talking about anybody out there, because we've all done this. Okay. We've all done this. What are you building in your finances? What are we building with our body? If I'm God and I am the energy that creates, then I don't have to keep destroying myself if I don't want. I don't have to age. I don't have to do any of these things, but there's a lot of programs that are sitting in your body that are probably more important for you to dismantle before possibly your age, unless your age is a major trigger. Okay. If your age is a major trigger, then that's a time wound and you have a scarcity of time. So what have you always been in scarcity of? Like, pay attention to this. Like, have you always had a scarcity of money? Have you always had a scarcity of beauty? Have you always had a scarcity of like age? Have you always had a scarcity of like, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? Have I had a scarcity in relationships, which means that I don't feel chosen or I don't feel enough? You know, do I have a scarcity of support? Do I have a scarcity of ideas? Do I have a scarcity of knowledge? Do I feel ignorant in certain areas? Pay attention to what you believe about yourself, because none of it's true. None of this is true. This is just part of being born in scarcity. That's it. And there's always a middleman that is created in the family dynamic to get powerful creators to sit down. Because this game is major league, guys, like major league. So, like I said, when you were little, what did you believe was in the way of your joy, your freedom, your abundance, your creative energy? What was in the way? Was it dad? Was it mom? Was it your siblings? Was it money? Was it where you lived? Were you in a desolate area? Or was it you? Okay. So write it down today. Write it down. Like, who did I believe was the scarcity? Or what did I believe the middleman was? Because that's what your scarcity program is today. Who is the middleman? And what's my scarcity? And how I can prove that is the middleman separates you from source energy. It separates you from your nature. Remember my definition of sin, separated in nature. Instead of the I am, the middleman says you're not allowed to have that. Since so-and-so is born, you can't be the star anymore. Okay, since dad left, I can't be a mom for you anymore. And so you're going to have to fend for yourself. Since we lost all of our money, you can't have toys. Or you truly just take it all on as a super empath and think, I must be the problem here. So if you have a scarcity with the mom energy, you'll have a scarcity within nature, which is like the idea of all the things that make up divine feminine, like nature, nurture, like home, okay, sanctuary, safe place to be. If mom was in the way of your nurturing, then the mother energy will be in scarcity now. Okay, so father energy, provider, protector, fixer, builder, if that was absent, that will be in scarcity now. Or you felt like he was abusive, so he was in the middle. So you could look at an absence as a middleman, right? If you had a dad, then it's either the middleman you needed or the middleman that was in the way. And it will still be the same story today. This is why I can tell you guys that until you deprogram your subconscious mind, it ain't going to do it through your shadow work. Your shadow work actually just creates like the problem to be like, oh yeah, this is my ego and this is my problem, instead of like, okay, none of this is me. I am source energy and God at the core of me. And when I drop this body, and level up, I will be none of those stories. I mean, I can tell you how much time I actually spent doing childhood work to not have a better relationship until now, until I just decide to have good relationships and then act as if, and then practice, prepare, play until my body says, oh yeah, we have good relationships. And then my relationships got better. I mean, the only thing that ever worked as far as childhood work for me was time travel. And that was because I'm just going back and changing the script. I wasn't deciding with what happened to me was bad or good and then having to go through all this therapy. You guys, look at how much power we've given psychology. Now I'm like, oh, I'm an anxious detachment. I've labeled myself. So now that when I go into relationships, I know why I do the things I do. Do you see what a trap this is? It's just as bad as astrology and tarot cards at this point, because now you're using all of these things to tell you who you are so you can, that's just same as saying, oh, call me hey, him, them, when, why. Oh, I'm anxious detachment. And you guys, I bought into it too because it gave me comfort and peace to be able to identify my kind of crazy, which was not crazy. It was that I was indoctrinated into scarcity, just like you were. And see, this is why comparison and jealousy is such an issue with women, is because in scarcity, you are programmed at a very early age that there is 4 women for every 1 man. That is actually in your hard drive, in your subconscious hard drive. That's implanted in you. I don't know if you're aware of that. Instead of women being in union, like before the Matrix really built their new occult system, which is right around the time of the Freemasons creating the United States, okay, women gathered. We raised children together, okay? We were way closer to each other than we ever were with a husband or whoever he was, way closer. And now, because there's a scarcity mindset, we've moved into this unconscious, basically, app that was downloaded into your hard drive before you even incarnated, that there is a scarcity of beauty or a scarcity of women or whatever that you normally would go to, like, and what do you get triggered by when you see a woman? Okay, I trigger the shit out of women. I don't even know why, but it doesn't bother. I don't know if it's just my loud voice or the way I dress or whatever it is, but for some reason I tend to bother women who are not past this particular wound, and I'm fine with it because you're welcome. But understand this, that the art of comparison is actually your root wound about you believe that there could be someone in the way of your man, of your job, of your potential, of your beauty. Have you ever walked in a room, ladies, and felt really good about yourself and you were like, walked in a room and just saw a woman that was just like, I can't compete, like just like perfection, and your whole night was ruined? And probably the only reason that everybody was looking at her was because you were looking at her in resistance. Okay, because that's the thing about women, we are also, the gender that we sit in also has, see, we have these scarcity mindset programs, but we also have these abundant mindset programs sitting in our app, if we wanted to turn that one on as well, which means divine feminine, I am the prize, I am the art, I am the one, it's me. And the version of the feminine energy that you radiate out will be perfect for the people, places, and things that you are meant to work with, unite with, collect with, create with, which means there won't be a better woman than you, but you're not in your lane. You're in her lane. Because you have to think, if I have to look at everybody else's lane so I can stay safe, okay? Or you've been really fired up about an idea you want to do, or a book you want to write, or a podcast you want to create, or some sort of new course you want to create, and you go online and you see someone else is doing it way bigger, better, with more money, with more backing, with more support, with more investment than you. Tanks. That's what I'm talking about, the middleman. So if you believe that there is something in the way of your scarcity, of your relationships, of your health, of your money, of your time, you notice what you are jealous of, comparison of, and in competition of. And I looked up the root definition of competition. You guys, it means to strive together. That's what it means. It's not bad. Because you know what? When you see someone doing better than you, it's actually your higher self saying that's you. Are you inspired by you? And when you see someone doing bad, scarcity says, are you inspired by someone who's doing bad? So, you know, this idea of the devil in your ear and the angel in your ear, this is how you're walking around all day long, and you're listening to both. And a lot of the times it's getting to the point where all you do is freeze because they're both right. But ultimately, your body is going to be more attuned to the middleman idea than it is that there's no blocks, that there's no walls, that there's no idol, that there's, like, if I said right now, you guys that are online right now, what if I told you there was actually no blocks in the way of your life whatsoever? You'd be like, I could show you at least 5. All right, we got money, we got time, I got some health issues. Okay, my partner doesn't want to do what I want to do. Obligation, commitment, that's 5. And that's just normal life. And that's like, that's not homelessness. That's not poverty. Okay, I said, okay, well, what's standing in the way of you shining your light as bright as you possibly could? You'd give me 5 blocks. Okay, I don't want people to see and hear me so they don't judge me. I don't feel like I'm ready. I don't feel like I know enough. I don't feel like my course is good enough. I don't feel like my book is good enough. I don't feel like this is good enough yet. It's still a little, I feel like a fraud, right? And I don't just think the timing is right, or I don't have the money to get it started. Scarcity. But what if I said, all you have to do is start using your creator imagination to live as it's already done, and then God, let God figure out how to do it, the God within you. So one of the things that I'm learning, you guys, and I'm just like, I literally have to cry and laugh like all day long now. And I told you, Donna, this was going to happen. As soon as I get on the other side of this, I'm going to laugh at all this. But you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. So I didn't know. But the thing is, the thing I love about this class is you guys never give up. It's like you may be down in the trenches of hell and you're like, I'm not giving up. Like, we've come too far. And one thing that I will tell you, that one of the major ingredients of moving into your Christ conscious creatorship is courage. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable, because your scarcity program that has made up so many different aspects of your personality, okay, even some part of your creativity, like that thrifty part of you, okay, that those parts of you that you actually like, that little treasure hunter within you, okay, those parts of you are still scarcity. And so there are parts of you that you don't want to lose once you become this God creator. Like, am I going to have a personality? Am I going to even like not like things? Of course you will, because one of the reasons you came was the contrast. I like this food. I don't like this food, but I'm not judging it. I'm not talking behind its back. I'm not throwing it. I'm not humiliating it. I'm not feel humiliated by it just because it didn't taste good. What if every negative thing that happened to you, you treated just like a food you spit out? Like, no thanks. And then you did not allow yourself to think past that moment. Or if the thought came up, you were like, okay, well, let's figure out what's in my subconscious mind here that I believe about me when someone has something bad to say about me. So like, okay, what's the worst thing you do? You go on YouTube. Okay. I literally had someone, and this is so funny. Like, I've told you girls, like in the boot camp, the manifest your dream body in your boot camp class, I'm getting real personal in there, because why not, right? And I didn't get my dream body until I was in my late 40s. So you better believe I'm gonna show it off just because I got one. And if you had a Ferrari, you'd be driving it too. Okay. So anyways, this gal, she writes under one of my comments on my video, and I thought it was a very like high level educational video. I was not dressed inappropriate or nothing. And she says, I'm trying to manifest a timeline where you wear more clothes, which means that she's watching multiple videos to see what I'm wearing. And you know what I told her? I just loved it, because that did not trigger me at all. If that was, first of all, a man would never say that. Okay. Second of all, what did I just say about competition and comparison? And so I wrote back to her and I said, I loved your dedication. And I hope you stick with that. That's a good one to work on. Like, because first of all, it wasn't even sarcastic, it was genuine. Because the thought is that she doesn't like how I look, but she's watching everything I'm doing. And some of it's going to creep in there. And I don't care whether people like me or not. That's one of the beautiful things of self-confidence is you don't dress or do for others. You are literally your own artwork all the time, your mood, your vibe, your charisma, your identity. And when you get to create it from scratch out of you crawled through hell, you're going to want to shine it. You're going to want to share it. But it isn't for everyone. You know, like I don't want to be for everyone. I only want to be for the people that vibrate the playground that I want to play, which means I'm going to go to the playground as a child. I'm not going to want to play with every child. Maybe I want to play kickball that day. I'm only going to go play with kickballers. Okay. But it has nothing to do with whether what I want to do or how I want to do it is wrong or right. And that's the beauty of non-duality is take nothing personally. And the stuff you are taking personally, realize that your subconscious program is running in that area. And all you have to do is say, what do I believe about myself right here? That's it. What do I got to believe? And who's the middleman? Because see, when you're in comparison, now that person is the middleman who's in the middle of your joy. So it's super important that you figure out who's playing your middleman so you can take responsibility for it. There is one major thing about moving into courage, and it is you have to accept that this is all your fault. Okay. Now, first 7 years, not your fault. Even though it is on some level, if you go deeper into the levels of consciousness, but ultimately you're a child and your subconscious mind would, and now you believe all this stuff about yourself. And probably 80% of it isn't true at all. And the 20% that is awesome. Okay. Ultimately, the only thing that is true about you is that you're in a female or male body and that you have God streaming through you. That is the only truth about you. Everything else is decided and chosen along the way, which means if you think, oh, I'm just not a very good person. Okay. Or I don't think I'm very smart, or I don't think that, I could figure out how to do this. That's all a belief system. That's it. Because every ounce of knowledge and every dollar you could ever want is sitting in the quantum field waiting for you to ask and become it. Say, oh yeah, I'd like to have some of the money that I feel like I already am. So I'm just going to embody it. I'm just going to become it. I'm just going to be grateful that I already have it. But the entire scarcity model is how. And here's the crazy part. You guys want to know how to collapse the system? Stop being the how for them. Right now, we are the how that this all stays together. We don't work. We don't pay our mortgage. We don't buy into the financial stuff. Guess what? They lose their how. So what they've done is it's a game of smoke and mirrors. And so what they do is they tell you that if you want to be abundant and successful here in scarcity, you are the how. You've got to figure out the how of your life. But it's like a maze because this door is locked and that door is locked, and you got to give this kidney away if you want this house. I mean, look at the word mortgage. Morgue. It's a 30-year sentence. Okay. So everything that is created out of the English language is basically the language of the living dead. It's like you're alive, but you're not. Because when you wake up, you're out awake. That's why most of you wake up and you're like, ooh, I woke up in scarcity again. It's like, if you haven't seen The Truman Show, go watch The Truman Show. Because his entire life was like reality TV. And he was in this little bubble and he thought he was living a life with people, and they were all literally just interacting with him to push his buttons and see what he did. And he was basically a science experiment his whole life until he figured out he was in a TV show. Watch it. It'll be enlightening, because that's how scarcity is. And all we would have to do is start taking back our source energy and stop using scare energy. My question for you guys on the Monday mindset was, what gets you out of bed in the morning? Right? What motivates you? If it's coffee, I'm sorry, because it was mine for a while. But coffee is a source of energy, isn't it? Okay. So I said, what gets you out of bed in the morning? Is it obligation or is it adventure? That's how you know what city you're waking up in the morning. Okay. If you're waking up in obligation, well, I better get my fat ass out of bed because I can't sleep all day. Someone's going to judge me, even though I don't even want to be here. So I get up and I start being the citizen of scarcity. And my entire day is operating from scarce source, which means motivated by obligation, fear. I have to, I shoulds. Should is a horrible word for you. I would love it if you guys, and I'm working on this so diligently because I use that word way too much. Should, but should is a very bad word for you. Replace it with could. I could get up. I could do that. I could think about it instead of should. Should has guilt in the tone of it. Oh, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I should be working harder on my business since I spent all this money to develop it. Right? I should. You see how this triggers the subconscious system to run that program again. So what are the two things that run your subconscious programs over and over again on loop? They actually don't run automatically. They need a fuel source. Okay. Just like if I'm going to run Google or run like some sort of program on my computer, I have to interact with it. So the two ways that you reboot your subconscious program over and over again is through reacting or interacting with. And this is where the spiritual community has dug their own grave, because people in 3D react and people in 4D or 3D moving into 5D through on a spiritual journey, they're always interacting with their program. They're going to practitioners and they're healing. That's interacting with their pain. They're acknowledging the pain and they're healing the pain. And if you go into Christ consciousness and start doing some 4-hour like deep trance meditation, and you literally go talk to some true elders, they'll be like, what are you guys healing from? Just decide you're not sick. Stop using scarcity energy, which is battery, which means I need coffee, I need sex, I need this, I need that, I need. I feel bad when I want because I shouldn't want because I'm doing better than some people. You see all of this guilt we put on ourselves here. So what's in the middle? Because what's in the middle is actually what's giving you the impression or the appearance of a physical block. I bet you if money's in the way today, money was in the way of childhood. Okay. Now, money is also masculine energy because it's kind of like the flow of money, the currency of money, the move of money is feminine. But on its own is a very masculine structure because you use it to build. It's like capital, right? And so if you have masculine wounds, you have a tendency to be sort of, you have, if issues be, your money will be dominant and you'll be the submissive with money. If dad was maybe not around or emotional unavailable, you'll also have issues with creator. Okay. Because my father, okay, our father is the energy of God to your subconscious, guys, not to you. Your subconscious is sugar daddy. Okay. Well, if daddy wasn't around when you were young, or daddy was abusive, or daddy molested you, you're going to naturally be in rejection of source energy, even though it's exactly what you need to heal the trauma. See, where there's source energy, there is no pain. That is something I really need you guys to hear, those of you who are sick. Where there is source energy flowing, there is zero pain. Pain is the absence of source energy. So if you got hip pain, no source energy is moving through there right there. Okay. Which means there is some sort of scarcity blocks, scarcity of blood flow, scarcity of oxygen, scarcity of lymph movements. There is too much of abundance of inflammation that creates scarcity of hydration. Anywhere there's pain, there's scarcity. And anywhere there is flow, there's source energy. So in the Monday mindset, I give you the 3 personalities of your physical issues. So wait is that you believe you have to wait, okay? Or you're waiting for your life to start, which is 2 belief systems that I highly have you look at. Secondary is if you are in pain, okay? Like physical pain. There is a scarcity of flow in your life. There is major middleman somewhere, okay? Pain, because it's an interrupter of source. So anger, what's in the way? Bitterness, what's in the way? Betrayal, what's in the way? These are all things that cause anger, pain in the physical body. Is literally kind of a lack of flow, which means that usually there is an anger, there's a bitterness, there's resentment. Okay, there's abuse somewhere in that storyline. That's going to cause physical pain because that's the middleman. The emotion is always going to be the middleman that causes or creates the block of flow, because energy always comes before matter. So even before you track the accident that hurt your back, you attracted the accident because you were blindsided by someone else earlier. Okay, and boom, unconsciousness again. Now, when we are chronically sick, what is the middleman there? When we're chronically sick, we believe that there is an absence of some sort of support or love or guidance from divine or mother, father energy. We need love. We're not getting the attention we need. We're not able to receive it somehow. And so when you're sick, it is literally, if you look up the definition of like victim means to go without blame. So if you have a lot of guilt and shame, you don't want to be blamed for things, you'll attract an illness, because no one can get mad at a sick person. Okay, it's also a way for you to be seen and heard if you feel ignored, if you feel invisible, if you feel abandoned and rejected. You'll create illnesses so that people will have to take care of you without making you feel like a victim. So this is all 3 of these middlemen that we're using to keep our subconscious programs going. And we're spending thousands of dollars in therapy talking about these stories. Owning the story is the center middleman of your manifestation failure. You sticking with your story is why you are broke. It's why you're sick. It's why you're alone. It's your story. How do you let go of the story? Okay, well, that's all the work that we're doing. But if you pay attention to the middleman, all right, what do I believe is in the way here? And why do I believe that? I know it feels like there's a real person there, but see, everybody is you pushed out. So even the blocks that appear to be real in the finances, the blocks that appear to be there in the body, it's all your belief system that something is in the way. So if something is in the way, something will always be in the way. Have you noticed? You manifest something finally, something's in the way. Okay, you might get the house, but now you have debt in the way. All right, you might be able to get a vacation, but guaranteed, if you have there's something in the way story, you'll manifest something in the way of joy or the flow of that vacation. Maybe it's your own body that's in the way. So guys, look, the number one thing that I can tell you to do is go back to the mindset of non-duality and start looking at this from a non-dualistic place. Because it's kind of life-shattering when you realize that you've been the one that has been keeping the scarcity going. It's the movie Monsters Inc. Like our fear of it is keeping this template moving, and we are the how. So every manifester, okay, when you're manifesting with God energy, there always has to be a how, but it's never been any of your business, because you getting in the way of the how, well, see, now you're playing God. And God can't do what it was going to do for you, because now you're looking at it. And if you look at it, it can't be a miracle and it can't be magical. So now it has to be logical. And if you were born in scarcity, you don't get anything for free. That's illogical. So you have to operate with the jurisdiction of the scarcity if you are trying to do the how. If you are fixated on the how and fixated on the when, you are the problem. You're actually the middleman between your desire and God. You, me. Like, I've been the only thing that is ever in the middle of because again, and I'll tell you, this is mostly divine feminine because we're such go-getters and growers. Think about your entire spiritual journey, ladies. What has been the main focus of it? How? How do I get there? When do I get there? How do I figure this out? How do I heal? How do I make money? How do I get happy? How do I have joy? I mean, that's the only reason I was on a journey, to figure out how. But what if I told you all you have to do today is put the how down? That's it. Not my job. I'm a child of God. That's my parents' freaking thing to figure out. But see, if you didn't have parents that figured out your desires for you and brought you abundant things, then you went and got it yourself. But see, it's almost like the indoctrination, especially with empaths, is we get parents that are either custodial or abusive, and we're lacking something very important that we need. And because we're so connected to spirit, we'll go figure out how to get it ourselves. We're not sitting around crying about it. But see, as soon as you figure out how to go get what it is you desire, now you are the mayor of scarcity. You're playing the god of the dark, and you don't even know it because it's such a beautiful thing you're wanting to create. And that has effed up every single one of my visions when I have been the how. Every one of them. It's gotten ruined because of scarcity. Scarcity always shows up when you play how. God's job is how and when. Your job is what and why. That's it. What do I want? Why do I want it? I want it because it represents who I am already. It's because if I was going to literally draw a picture of what my spirit looked like, it would be this house, it would be this car, it would be this job, it would be these clothes, it would be this body. Okay, good. So embody it, and God will figure out the how. This is why you could put the shadow work down, you could put the healing journey down, you can put all down, and there's a part of your ego going, oh, I spent all this money on this practitioner. I'm not saying that you're not going to use your abilities, because one thing I do know is everything you've studied up until now, you will use, but just not the way that you think you're going to use it. Your toolbox is going to be essential. It will be, but not for what you think it is. You're here to build a new world out of yourself, not heal the sick. You're here to use all that intuitive healing power that you have within you to be such an example of fierce joy and unstoppable courage that is what inspires the world. Because sick healers are people pleasers. Okay? And people pleasers have the idea that they can't heal themselves. And so if they heal you, they will get in return. It's part of the manipulation program. This is why narcissists go towards very high level, empathetic, sensitive beings that have an unworthy program running. All right. So if your mom was a narcissist, dad was a narcissist, it's okay. We don't even have to go call them a narc, right? If people and places and things are lacking empathy around you, that's narcissistic. Okay. So if your inner voice lacks empathy for you, I would shut that one down as fast as I could. So one of the things we're going to be doing in the boot camp that I think is going to be so much fun is we are studying all of the breakdown of high value woman and high value man, which means that there is actually mindset of a woman who considers herself high value, kind of like a Rolls Royce, like they don't even have commercials. Okay. And there's a mindset of a man that is high value. It is the opposite of a scarcity mindset. And I think it's going to be really fun for you ladies and guys that are going to take the course, because to actually because you have to redo your self-concept. You will not be a 5D creator by being yourself. You cannot. You have to throw certain parts of yourself away. You can no longer operate with that system. And so who is this new self-concept of yourself? And what is your definition of high value? I do not mean that is something you wear. High value doesn't have anything to do with what you wear. It is literally a set of mindsets, belief systems that people who see themselves as high value, I'm not talking arrogant or narcissistic, but true high value, they have certain belief systems about themselves. And so I'm going to break those down for you guys to be able to explore those and pick and choose and make them your own as you're creating your new self-concept. Because in order for you to be able to go all the way out of the how, out of the should, and go into I am properly, there is a persona. Okay. There is a persona of, and I wouldn't call it an entitled child, but I would call it an expectant child. Okay. Like, and a lot of us we did not have that joy of being able to expect anything except scarcity. So with that idea, for homework this week, I really want you guys to pay attention to what is in scarcity. Like, what are you manifesting that is in scarcity? Scarcity means scarce, okay? Like not enough of, or afraid you're going to run out of, or just enough, or right under the mark. That would be scarcity. And some of you have plenty of money in the bank account, but still feel that way because you see what's happening out here. So even though you have enough here, what's happening out there is scarcity. And so with the whole thing, so anytime the population starts to create abundant mindsets, there is scarcity that is created here. Okay, look at COVID. Scarcity of toilet paper. All right. And then, around different times where, the moons are extra strong or something. Well, now you can't get lettuce at the store. So it's like this scarcity program that happens to make you think, oh gosh, well, if lettuce is going to go, what else is going to go? And as soon as you get into that mindset of scarcity, you flip into your inner manipulator and you start to go into the how. How am I going to protect myself? How are we going to stock up? And as soon as you go into the how, you are now in the awareness of scarce energy, scary energy, and you are disconnected from source energy, which is abundance, flow, prosperity, opulence, beauty, play, right? It's the could, and down here is the should. I could do that or should do that. So take this to heart, you guys, because you're not needing to do any different except choose differently. This is 5D is choose your own adventure. Choose who you are. Choose how you look. Choose what you have. Not based on your resume, not based on your education level, not based on how you look in the mirror right now, not based on what your body weighs right now or the condition of your physical body, and not in the condition of who you are obligated or trapped or enjailed with. Actually has nothing to do with that, because when you end the scarcity programs, everybody in your reality shifts out of scarcity as well, because you are the creator of your particular template, and your template, everybody will be a version of you. So if the actor changes, then the whole movie has to change. And you'll see that happening. Some of you are already seeing that happening now because you're doing so much inner work. You're starting to see people who are driving you crazy that are just chilling out, or they're having the same realizations that you're having, and they're not having to do any of the work, because you can affirm for them as well. But see, if you're noticing that your loved ones are in scarcity, that's actually your scarcity. So if they're in scarcity, well, then you got to do, how do I get more to help them with their scarcity? You see the trap, you guys? It's so crazy. So if you haven't watched the etymology class that Regina and I did, it's not really a class, it's a conversation, but it's on YouTube, and it's called Words Are Spells, and Are You Cursing Your Money Line? Because we talk a lot about like the financial language and being very aware of the language that you speak. Because remember, you guys, in the beginning, there was the word. And God said, word, let there be light. So, right? And if you look at 7 days of creation, the reason why you don't ever have to worry about the how, you guys, is because when you create from 5D, you create as creator, and creator creates already full grown, happily ever after things. It does not, God did not put embryos and seeds on the earth. He put trees and full grown humans. He put at the end, didn't he? Because everything was fully gestational and ready to procreate. So your dreams have to be fully completed. You're living already grown up dream. You're living already grown up bank account. You're living already grown up trees. Okay, so this is why you're not worried about, well, how is this seed going to turn into $1 million? Just go be the $1 million. Light is information. On the 5th day, he created humans. Okay. 5 is the number of change and choice. So humans got to change and choose. So this is the idea of all you have to do is live in the end and let go of the how. And I will tell you, all of your suffering, every ounce of everything you've ever suffered in your entire life was the how. All of your suffering comes from that how. How. And I think when falls into that category too, because, you know, a baby takes 9 months to cook. And when we've planted seeds, but we know our subconscious is chasing us with the old program, we have a major time crunch. Like, this has to happen tomorrow. Because remember, what was the definition of fear here is faith in loss. I'm afraid to lose again, or I'm afraid to lose. So you have faith in that. That's what fear is. That's why when you go into the 5Ds, the opposition of the fear, right, of the doubt, it's faith. Faith in knowing that all you have to do is look in the direction of source energy that is eternal life force energy that never goes out and it's never been away from you. You've just chosen to use the other source. Okay. Then when you look away from source energy, you have to use whatever battery operated source is available. And that's going to be the one that you've always had to use because they told you not to use source energy by the time you were 5. Don't use that energy. You're too much. Turn yourself down. So you had to get in a scarcity of your own source in order to be accepted and adapt into scarcity, which you never wanted to be here in the first place. But see, you knew that it was just a mindset and your behavior. Watch your behavior, watch your coulds, look for your middleman. Look for those middlemen. I'm going to tell you that's going to give you so much enlightenment this week. Look for all the things that you consider in the way, the middleman. And now go back in your backstory. Who was in the way? Why aren't you better off? Why don't you have more? Who are you blaming? This is why forgiveness work, when you get over to 5D creatorships, is so essential. Because if you still think that so-and-so is in the way, that's still going to be in the way. There can't be anything in the past that is going to be in the way of you being totally unconditionally loving, abundant, generous spirit. Nothing. So do your forgiveness work on anything you believe was in the way or got in the way, because that is also in your way of creating the future. Think about it. If I'm in unity consciousness with my conscious and my subconscious mind, and my subconscious mind is still holding grudge back here, and I'm trying to get to 5D, what do you think is going to happen? Especially if this is heavy. Boop. I'm going to go right back to the scene of that trauma and I have to relive that conclusion again, maybe with someone else, but playing the same role for me. It's going to happen again and again and again, because you cannot get to 5D without unity consciousness, without masculine, feminine, in loving union, which means source energy running through the embodiment, and the inner child and the body is in submission to the dominant leadership, which is divine masculine, which is the creator, and feminine is the subconscious. And together you can just be. You don't even have to ask. I am the wealth. I am the prosperous business. I am the perfect body. I am this. And then get out of the how. Now, if the how comes up, go look at those programs. Pull and pluck them. Fellowship today, we're going to go through 15 steps that replace patience. Because once you plant the seed, that's when all the how crazy starts. So I have 15 steps for you guys. It's actually in a worksheet form for you to be able to follow through all of the P's. Okay, so instead of patience, we have all these different steps, and it'll be really great for you when you start to get into your crazy how is this going to work out. You can go to your list and just apply whichever one fits that time, space, reality for you, and you can stay out of the how. All right. Okay, guys, love you. Thank you so much for being here. And the rest of you guys, I'm sure you'll watch when you can get online. All right, see you soon. Bye.